What is going on, everybody? Welcome to a very special edition of Ben's reaction on Football Sunday. And wow. What a day, huh? Not just in the NFL, but in college football as well. The Buccaneers squeaked by the Carolina Panthers, a 1-10 Carolina Panther team, 21-18. And for the first time all year, I was like, you know what? Maybe they should play Kyle Trask. Baker had a couple nice throws, but other than that, he just, really didn't play well. He missed a lot of his targets. Overthrew the ball, had an interception. It was just not pretty. But sometimes the wins are ugly, and you just gotta get them when you can. And the Bucks won. They are 5-7. Falcons are 6-6. And we're playing the Falcons next Sunday in Atlanta. Should be a revenge game for the Bucks losing to the Falcons earlier this year, which they shouldn't have, but they did. Now we have an opportunity to get one back in Atlanta and grab the division lead. It's still right within our reach, So I'm looking forward to that. We do have some comments in here real quick. Hello from Odette. Thank you from Tampa, Florida. Odette, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate it. How you doing tonight? Hey, Ben. Jim Melvin. Jim, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. And at Odette Brensons. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Listen, as you can see, what I'm wearing on my head right now, I don't think it's any secret to anybody that knows me. I am a Florida State football fan. We know what happened today. We got the big news out of the college football world. Yes, they did not make the playoffs. They ended up being number 5 in the rankings. But for those who didn't see it, or by now, if you've lived under a rock, Michigan, number 1, Washington, number 2, Texas, number 3, and Alabama, number 4. Meanwhile, Florida State is number 5, and Georgia ended up being from number 1 to number 6. Yeah, well, listen, I could go on and rant and throw every piece of furniture in my room where I'm sitting at right now, but why? What's that going to do? Does the college football committee know that? Do they even know who I am? No. So why would they care if I throw my furniture around in disgust? But, I'm not shocked that this happened. Am I disappointed? Absolutely. Absolutely. But am I shocked by it? No. And I want to explain something to everybody. Now, Florida State fans, you have every right to be upset. I don't blame you one bit. You should be. We went 13-0 this year. Beat everybody on the schedule. We played one of the best defensive games I think anybody could in college football all year long. I mean, my God, what a defensive performance. You couldn't ask for any more. You just couldn't ask for any more. I mean, you see even Mike Norvell, look at how excited he was. Like, seeing that defense go out there and dominate the Louisville offense. Jack Plummer couldn't do anything all night. We got to him. We took their best receivers out of the game, stopped the running game. And in the Florida game, we played with Rodemaker, backup. In the Louisville game for the ACC title, we played Brock Lynn, a third-string guy. And they won. I mean, 13-0, conference championship. Guaranteed, right? How can you screw this one up? I mean, we know Michigan and Washington, they're in, undefeated, conference championship. Got it, in the bag. Florida State, 13-0, win the conference championship game. In the bag, right? But did I mention just a minute ago that we did this with a second and third string quarterback in 2 games? Oh, yes, we did. Yes, I did. And that's exactly what I'm going to explain to you right now for everybody out there that's still upset and angry, and I understand. But I hate to say it, I got to take my fan hat off. Not because you want to see my beautiful, long, thick hair, salt and pepper. No, but this is where I have to take the fan hat off. You know, for years, all we wanted was the college football playoff committee to get it right, right? You know, get the best 4 teams. You know, let me rephrase that: the best 4 teams to play in the college football playoff, and next year it'll be expanded to 12. Believe it or not, I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for saying this, Florida State fans. Get ready to send your hate to me. That's fine. Unfortunately, they got it right. Let me tell you why. Actually, let me show you why. I tried to get this pick on before I came on, but it wasn't successful. I want you can look at the camera here for a sec. Right there. You read that? Yeah. Look at the bottom right there. Other relevant factors such as unavailability of key players and coaches that may have affected a team's performance during the season or likely will affect its postseason performance. Right there. There's the bottom. Florida State did the other 3 things right. Now, guess who's out? Well, that would be Jordan Travis, quarterback for the Florida State Seminoles, who had a phenomenal season. Was an integral part of our team's success. Not just him alone, but I mean, we're talking our defense is dominant. You know, Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, Trey Benson, the offensive line. It's great. It's really good. But you got to go by the criteria. That was one of the criteria. And now you're saying, well, why are we being punished for that? Well, it's the criteria. So let's say Florida State did get in. How many people would watch that game other than Florida State fans and who their opponents are? What I'm trying to say is I don't think Florida State would have had a chance against a Michigan or a Washington. Now, you're saying, well, Ben, how do you know that? Well, let me explain something to you. You remember that game against North Alabama? Now you're thinking, that's, we destroyed them, right? Destroyed them. Did you know that we were down 13-0 over North Alabama in the first quarter of that game? And guess who played in that game? Jordan Travis. And that's where he ironically got hurt. But we were down 13-0 to North Alabama. I'll tell you one better. We barely beat a Boston College team. Barely beat a Boston College team earlier in the season. They weren't that good. A Clemson team. We barely got by them. I get it. We beat 8 bowl teams. But still, our schedule, and I'm going to show you right now. Make another comparison real quick. I'll show you this. I don't know if you can see it. Well, I don't think you can see it, but despite our strength of ranking being third, our strength of schedule rank was 55th. Texas's was 13th. Alabama was 5th. That's who went above us. Georgia was 37th. And ours was 55th. Wins versus the top 25, 3-0. Yeah. Alabama 4-1. But they had 4 top 25 wins. We only had 3. Key wins. Alabama. Georgia is SEC title game. LSU. That was one of our key wins. And our key win was over Louisville. But Louisville lost to Kentucky the week before. And they lost to a Pittsburgh team that didn't even make a bowl game. See what I'm trying to say here? It's all about the criteria. I'm going by criteria. I'm going by the rules. We're going by what we've been talking about college football committee try to do. They actually got it right. I know it's hard for me to say it, but they got it right. Now, again, you got every right to be upset. I don't blame you for being upset. I'm disappointed too. But it is what it is. I'm sorry, it just is. You know, we won our game 13-6. Style points matter, right? I think they do. And our offense could only muster 13 points. Yeah, but then they had a third-string quarterback. Yeah. Well, you still have Trey Benson. He could have ran in for a couple touchdowns. Could have ran the ball more in that game. You ran it late. Why didn't you run the ball more in the first half? It's not like Louisville has a great defense. They're pretty good, but they're not great. Not as good as ours. With all that offensive weapons that we have, you couldn't score more than 13 points. What about the game against Florida with Rodemaker? He scored what? 17 points? What was that score, by the way? We scored 24 points, but that late touchdown came at the end of the game. In the first 59 minutes, we only scored 17 points against a pretty awful Florida team. They didn't make a bowl game. Why couldn't you run the score up on them? Style points do matter. Yeah, it's a rivalry game, but hey, we've played a lot of rivalry games. We played Clemson. You know, it's a rivalry game. Scored some points in that game. Couldn't do it against Florida. My point is we had chances. We actually did have some chances, guys. So, like I said, I hate to say it, but for once, college football actually got it right. You want the 4 best teams to play in this tournament. Michigan and Alabama, that's a great game. Washington, Texas, that's a great game. Just saying. Those are great games. It's also about the casual fans. You know, there are a lot of college football fans who don't have like college football teams. They just want to see great games. And you got to understand too, last year, TCU kind of ruined it in a way. They got in undefeated, and guess what? Yeah, they beat Michigan, but then they got their ass kicked by Georgia. That's what college football is thinking about too. Like, we want both semifinal games to be great. We want a great national title game. Because that's important for ratings. You know? So now we could still have blowouts. You never know. We could. Who knows? If Florida State would have made it in, who knows? Maybe we could beat a Michigan. Maybe we could beat a Washington or a Texas. I mean, we're never going to know. But if you want my honest opinion, what I think would happen, I don't think we would. Because of our quarterback play. Wanamaker's solid. But could he do good against the Michigan defense? That's very good. And by the way, I heard this is an argument I heard. Like, well, Michigan only scored 26 points on. Yeah. And guess what? How many points did Iowa score last night? 0. They shut them out. Florida State could have done that. So you lost that argument there. Okay. Michigan's a great team. So is Washington. Again, I'm not saying it's a guarantee that they would beat us, but more than likely, they probably would without Jordan Travis. Now, if we had Jordan Travis, then it's a different story. If we had Jordan Travis, if he played in these games, guarantee you we're playing Michigan or Washington on January 1st. But again, the criteria says that we didn't make it because of unavailability to top players. Now, you can hate it all you want, and that's fine. That's fine. Hate it. Despise it. Spit on it. Take a crap on it. That's your right. That's your privilege. I'm just telling you what the criteria is and why it went down the way it went down, and I can't argue with it. I don't have to like it either. But they got it right. And another thing, too. I'm going to put my hat back on. Florida State fan, this is the one I love better than anything else. Well, I'm not going to watch the game against Georgia in the Orange Bowl. Yeah, you will. Most of you will. You're just frustrated right now. In a few weeks, you're still going to watch. You still are. And I'm going to watch too. Yeah, but our best players aren't going to play. Maybe not. But I'm still going to watch. And would I blame those players if they didn't play? If a Jared Verse didn't play or a Keon Coleman? No. You know, they got NFL careers they got to worry about. I get that. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to watch. I'm a Florida State football fan. I watch them when they win. I watch them when they lose. I watch them when they, well, you can't tie in the college football. But I'm going to watch. My suggestion is so should you. As a fan, you should. We got a chance to go undefeated. So why not watch? There. I just wanted to get that off my chest. That was my reaction. And there are comments, so I need to read those, but I got to get on Facebook. Hold on, because I got to see your names. And thank you, by the way, for tuning in tonight. I appreciate it. Appreciate that. All right. Christopher Cole, thanks for tuning in, my man. FSU got robbed. Yeah. On the surface, yeah, looks like they did. I'm not sure right, Christopher, to think that. Respect your opinion. Facebook user, the committee is hoping that Georgia routes FSU so they can say, I told you so. Yeah. Well, we don't know that, Jim. I mean, maybe all our players will play. We don't know. Maybe there'll be some Georgia players that don't play in this game. Maybe it'll even out. We just don't know until we actually see who plays and how the game goes. But would you be wrong on that? Probably not. Christopher Cole, they wouldn't have been in if they dropped 50 on Louisville. Oh no, I kind of disagree with that. Chris, respectfully disagree with you. I think if they would have won by like more than 2 scores or 3 scores, I think they would have got in. You have to show the committee that your dominance, and they didn't do that. Now I get it; they had a third string quarterback, but you also have a good running game, Trey Benson. You have some good running backs. They could have ran out of the building against Louisville, but they didn't. They didn't. Mr. Kyle Yacy, thanks for tuning in, Kyle. Appreciate it. It's good to hear from you, my friend. How you doing up there in Canada? He says the Falcons with the ugly win, the ugly W. Hey, like I said, Bucks had an ugly W too. Win's a win, and it's going to be interesting. It's round 2 between me and you, bud. We'll see what happens. It should be a very interesting game next week, and could be for the division title. So, the Falcons 6-6 took care of business today. I picked the Falcons to win that game, by the way. So, a lot of people picked the Jets, but I was like, no. Even as awful as Desmond Ridder is, the Jets are even more awful with Tim Doyle, and they even benched him in the second half for Trevor Siemian. So it's just a nightmare in New York right now. And Mr. Jim Melvin says, I think you make great arguments, but the bottom line is that 4th criteria. If our scores have been exactly the same with the healthy Travis, do you think we would have gotten in? Yeah, we would have, because it says on that stream, certain players that are unavailable could affect what happens in the college football playoff games. Now, it's not a guarantee that would happen, but they're saying that more than likely this FSU team currently constructed right now with a Rodemaker or Brock Glenn, did they feel like they could beat a Michigan or a Washington? Probably not. And in a way, I kind of agree with them, because again, we barely beat Louisville. Louisville's not that great of a team, in my opinion. They had a good year, but their schedule was pretty weak. They really they hadn't faced a very good defense like ours. And really, if you think about it, we should have shut them out. And we didn't do that. As great as our defense was, made some big plays, but they could have done more. Our offense could have done more. Because again, it's about style points. You got to be able to show that you can dominate an opponent if you want to be one of those top 4 teams. And it was very impressive to do this with a second and third string quarterback. Not taking anything away from that. But again, this was against Louisville. Yes, they were ranked 14th. But I mean, is Louisville a Michigan? Is Louisville a Washington? Are they a Texas? No. Are they an Alabama? No. Or a Georgia? No. Or an Ohio State or an Oregon? No. Or even a Missouri? No. All those teams are better than Louisville. You know, and you got to think about this, guys. They didn't just look at this game. Okay? They looked at the last few games. That North Alabama game, think about that. We were down 13-0 to them. And that's when Travis was playing before he got hurt in that same game. I mean, you can't go down 13-0 over North Alabama. Okay? North Alabama, they're North Alabama. You should be up. You should have won like 50-0. Now, I don't know what happened. I don't know if Norvell got his guys ready for that game or not, but the committee looks at that too. They're not going to forget that. I didn't see Alabama go down to a Jacksonville State, or no, God, Jacksonville State. That still haunts me, by the way, as a Seminoles fan from a few years ago. But you know, in the games against their lower opponents, they didn't go down double digits early. They took care of business. You know, Florida State, there were games where we probably should have lost. But give them credit. They won. They pulled through. But you got to look at the bigger picture. And people want to argue, like, you know, the Booger McFarlands on ESPN. They talk about the resume all year long, the field. But did Booger mention the game against North Alabama? No. I didn't see him bring that up. So, you know, again, you got to look at all these, look at all the games, and look how the whole year. Look at the whole year, every game. Yeah, we beat LSU handily, but they're a 3-loss team. Does that look very impressive? Yeah, it sounds good because it's LSU. It's an SEC team. That's the other argument. Well, they beat 2 SEC teams. Florida's a 5-7 team. Wasn't that impressive? And we barely beat them. So, and I know you can't help who you play on the schedule. You don't know how they're going to do. I get that. But if you're miles better than Florida, you should have won by like 3 scores. Don't give the committee any extra ammunition. And that's what the talking heads, you know, the Florida State podcast, the talking heads, they don't mention. All they mention is, well, we got robbed. We did everything we could. We 13-0. We beat it. We scheduled 2 SEC teams. They don't even mention that one of those teams were, you know, not that good. They didn't even mention the North Alabama game being down 13-0. Because respectfully, and I'm saying this respectfully, it doesn't fit their argument. Okay? I mean, we barely beat Boston College. They didn't mention that, did they? No. Because it didn't fit their argument. But yet they're so high on, well, we were screwed. 13-0. We're undefeated. We beat everybody on our schedule. Like, you did, but do you want to dissect these games down? Okay. Yeah, but they didn't bother dissecting them down. And I get it. They're upset. I don't blame them. You know, we're Florida State fans. They thought they would be in the playoff, but they're not. But if you're going to talk about, you know, your argument, making a case for your argument and everything, include all the games and the details. Don't just focus on, well, we won with the second and third string quarterback. Yeah. You know those games were against? North Alabama, Florida, who didn't make a bowl game, and a mediocre Louisville team. Okay? And you scored 13 points against Louisville. Just include the facts. Just include everything. Don't just narrow your argument down to this or that. Okay? That's why I'm doing it. That's all. Jim says, you make great arguments, and I agree for the most part, but you never know until you play the game. That is FSG's best argument. Yeah, I did say that, Jim. I said, we don't know if they would win or lose to Michigan or Washington, but the odds are, I'm just giving you my opinion on what I think would happen. I don't think they would win, but that's what I think. That's not what you think or anybody else thinks. Maybe you think the same way, but I don't think they'd have a chance against them. And the committee thought the same thing. You know? Yeah. Yeah, sure. I mean, there's great arguments. There's a great case for Florida State to be in this Final Four. You know? Very good arguments. But at the same time, there's some good arguments why they shouldn't be in. And I just mentioned them to you tonight. So it's tough. Again, I'm disappointed. Very disappointed. But I'm not shocked. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay. Because I think we do have the best matchups. Now, I could be wrong, and we could see 2 blowouts in these semifinals games. We could. But more than likely, we probably won't. We'll probably get some great games. And as a fan, don't you want that? Even if you're not a fan of a college football team, don't you want to see great games? That's what I want. That's what the casual fan wants. They just want great games. They want 2 great semifinal games and a great national championship game. And right now, I actually do agree with the committee that these 2 games, Michigan, Alabama, Washington, Texas, are the best matchups in college football because they have all their players healthy. I mean, look at Washington. They dominated Oregon, and now the score looks closer than it was, but they were dominating Oregon throughout the game. They were underdogs going into that game. Michigan dominated Iowa. These undefeated teams dominated their opponents in the conference title games and left no doubt in the committee's mind. They passed that eye test. Alabama beat Georgia. Actually dominated that game. Georgia had to come. They're down double digits. Again, the score looks closer than it was. Texas dominated Oklahoma State. Blew them out. Wiped the floor with them. They passed the eye test. Florida State, even with the third string quarterback, didn't. And they thought, you know what? I don't think they have a chance against Michigan or Washington, Texas, or Alabama. They had their chances. And I gave a great example a few years ago, 2014. Cardale Jones came in for, I forget who the quarterback was for Ohio State, their starter. Came in and they were like on the outside looking in. They were on the verge of not making the playoff. And they went on and wiped the floor with Wisconsin, but they dominated. I think it was like 59-0, something like that. 59-0. But Florida State only won by 10 points, 16-6. They didn't dominate. Defensively, they dominated, but offensively, they didn't. And against Florida, they had 17 points until the final minute of the game when they scored on a late turnover to a 5-7 Florida team. And in North Alabama, they were down 13-0. And they scraped by Boston College. And a Jared Verse strip fumble won them the game against Clemson on the road. Otherwise, Clemson probably would have won that game. And look at Clemson. They're a 4-loss team. So you talk about Alabama. They beat LSU. They beat Ole Miss. They beat Georgia. They lost to Texas. But Texas, they're in. And they lost to an Oklahoma team who, yeah, they struggled down the stretch, but it was a close game. So I'm sorry, but we should have won those games handily, even without Jordan Travis, because the talent's that good. And we didn't take care of business like we should have. We won, but again, sometimes you got to make it look great. And unfortunately, Florida State didn't make those games against those three teams that I meant in their last three games. They didn't make it look great. Defensively, they did. But offensively, they couldn't. And I know, but we didn't have Jordan Travis. How could we? That's not fair. Our defense is good enough. Well, again, look at the teams. North Alabama, Florida, and Louisville. That is not Michigan. That is not Washington. That is not Texas. That is not Alabama. Those three teams that we played, we should have won by more. If we'd done that, we would probably be in right now. Not Alabama. Or maybe Texas. Sorry. It's just my opinion. Christopher Cole, Alabama barely beat Auburn and USF. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But they won. And USF, South Florida, they're a bowl team. They're going to a bowl game. Yeah. So, and Auburn's a bowl team. They made a bowl game. If, by the way, Florida State fans, if you want to be mad at somebody, be mad at Auburn. They didn't have to give up that 4th and 20. All they had to do was play defense. And we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. So if you want to be mad at anybody, be mad at Auburn, not Alabama. Auburn may have cost you that final spot. So Facebook user, best case scenario going forward is that FSU finds a way to beat Georgia and then that the 3 losers in the playoffs lose big. Yeah, but it doesn't matter because we're only going to win the Orange Bowl. That's it. So, yeah. Well, guys, I have done my ranting and raving enough. Stay on here for a few more minutes. I don't know what the score is right now. I know we have a Sunday night football game. The Packers and Chiefs are going on right now. Last I checked, it was 14-6 at halftime, Green Bay. So that's a bit of a surprise. That is a bit of a surprise. I didn't see that one coming, but I guess we talk about the Bucks. I mean, by the way, congratulations to Mike Evans, 10 consecutive years. 1,000 yards. Hey, great stuff. Great stuff. Mike Evans just keeps doing it. And, and like I said earlier, I'm guilty as charged. For the first time, I actually thought they should have maybe put in Kyle Trask, but the Bucs got by. And, we still have a chance. Even in this rotten division, we still have a chance to win a division title and make the playoffs. Yeah. I mean, Jim Melvin says Mike Evans potentially has 3-5 good years left in him. Yeah, I do. I do too. We'll see what happens though. Once the end of the year, we'll see what direction the Bucs go after this season. Do they bring back Mike Evans? I don't know. It'd be nice to see. I mean, would love as a fan. Nothing would be great to, see Mike Evans retire as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. But he's a competitive guy too. I'm sure he wants to win. But are we going to be a team that can fit those criteria that Mike Evans is looking for? Because he is a competitive spirit. The guy wants to win. So I don't know what's going to happen. But for right now, let's enjoy the ride. Let's enjoy Mike Evans while we can. Because who knows? He might not be back next year. He might go to another team. Let's enjoy this while we can. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. And Kansas City got a touchdown. Now it's 21-19 Green Bay. So they are in the fourth quarter of that game. And again, I'm a little surprised that Green Bay is up in this game. I mean, I think we knew it would be a close game tonight, but I didn't think Green Bay would be leading the whole way. I mean, got to give props to Green Bay. They're playing good football lately. Jordan Love's starting to figure it out. The defense is playing really well for Green Bay, so they're right in the thick of things, of the wild card race. So are we right now. We're a game out of first place, but that can all change after next week if we beat Atlanta in Atlanta. That remains to be seen. So, yeah. And the Niners dominated the Eagles. I said the Niners would win. I didn't know it would be by that much, but I know that I know this. I think the Niners are the best team in the NFL. Yeah, I said it. I think they're the best team in the NFL. And they proved it today, dominating a Philly team that has played very well lately. So, yeah. Jim says FSU could cream Green Bay. Yeah, maybe. But, come on. They're not going to do that. It's an NFL team. I know you're joking, Jim. I know you're just joking. But I know there's always some of those fans who think that a great college football team can beat a rotten NFL football team. And I'm here to tell you that's not the case. The NFL players are bigger, faster, and they would dominate a college football. A really bad NFL team could still dominate a great college football team because of the experience, the game speed, everything that goes along with it. So, no, I've never believed in that argument. Sorry. Jim also says, I always wondered if a team like the Panthers would crush a Michigan team. I think they probably could. Because again, Jim, the game speed's much quicker. The players are faster. They're more athletic. it's just a mismatch. That's why you never see it. I mean, yeah, we could fantasize about it and think about, could this Florida State defense dominate a Carolina offense? And listen, our defense today was missing Levante, Devin, and they barely got by Carolina. So, yeah, and that's in a way that's frustrating because we're definitely a better team than Carolina, but we squeaked by them today. Yeah, so, and Jim says it would be fun. Yes, it would be. Yes, it would be. Well, speaking of fun, this game's pretty fun right now. I'm going to go ahead and watch this one. So I just want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight. Appreciate it. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks for the comments, by the way. I know this was a live show real quick. I just threw it up there. I just wanted to get on to tell you my thoughts on the college football playoff. As a Florida State fan, it's not that I'm not upset about it. I'm disappointed. But I wanted to bring a perspective and an argument, a fair assessment to where a lot of the talking heads of Florida State didn't do that. And I get it. They're upset. They have every right to be. But I wanted to dive in deep on more than just, well, we're 13-0, we should be in. No questions about it. Well, there are reasons why you didn't get in. And I wanted to try and answer those questions and make it clear as best as I could. And I hope I did that. If I did, I appreciate that. But I'm just giving you my honest perspective on it and pointing out the facts. I'm not just going to come on here and say, oh, they didn't deserve it because they didn't deserve it. No. I'm going to tell you why they didn't. And I'm going to tell you why they did. Because again, 13-0 is 13-0. Just because you deserve something doesn't mean you're always going to get it. That's just the way it is in life. Hey, I think I deserve Taylor Swift, but you think I'm going to get that? No, Travis Kelce got it. Okay. Do I deserve a super Maserati because I work hard every day? No. So just because you deserve something doesn't mean you're always going to get it. Okay? And that's what I'm trying to tell all the Florida State fans out there, just to put it in perspective. Jim says, great show, very well thought out arguments. Appreciate that, Jim. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Appreciate it. I'm going to get out of here. I got to go to work tomorrow, so I got to finish watching this game. I got to finish watching Exorcist Believer that just came out on Peacock. I'm halfway through it. I fell asleep last night. So far, it's okay. The movie's okay. If you like scary movies, it's okay, but I got to finish it. So let me get out of here. But everybody, thank you for tuning in tonight. Appreciate it. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Ben Cornett 9015, on X at BennyBoy702, and Facebook in the Ben Zone. And if you're an Instagrammer, Ben702 forever. So everybody, have a great week. Take care, and I'll see you next time right here. Take it easy.